because the biblical God is a Trinity. Three persons, co-equal, co-eternal, but all sharing the same essence. It's a great mystery. We can't get our heads around it. But this fact, this truth that God is a Trinity has multiple implications. It means many things. And one of the things that it means that God is a Trinity is it means that at the center of who God is, in his very essence, there is relationship. There is, if you will, friendship. At the very center of who God is, there is friendship, relationship. Three persons swirling around one another in an eternal, self-giving, self-sufficient friendship with one another. And because friendship is at the very heart, the very center of who God is, our need for friendship is part of what it means to be made in God's image. For God exists in an eternal friendship. And so God creates us with that same need for friendship. That's why it was not good that man was alone. His God-given need for friends could not be met because there was no one at that point in time to meet it. And so then God recognizes that need, he highlights it for us, and then he meets it in the creation of a friend. So, here's a bit of application right here. So when you feel lonely, when you feel like you need a friend, I think our tendency sometimes is to shame ourselves, to beat up on ourselves, to kind of, what's wrong with you? Why are you lonely? Remember, this is how God made you. In his image, with a need for friendship, a need for friends. He put that in you. Don't shame yourself for that. That means that you're made in the image of God. You're like God in this. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. So we need friendship. But the reality is we're not very good at it. And we're even less good at it than we used to be. So let's talk about the lost art of friendship. I remember I was in my early 20s and I had an opportunity to go to breakfast with my grandfather. And I showed up at the breakfast, and this was something he did multiple days a week. And there were all the usual suspects. These were my grandfather's friends. But they weren't recent friends. These had been my grandfather's friends since he was in elementary school. And I was floored because these men, at that point in time, at that point in our culture, these men had all lived within a 20 square mile range of one another their entire lives. And I saw the depth of their friendship, and I was so challenged by that. Friendship really is an art, but a lost art in our day and age. Friendships, they don't just happen. We got to pursue them. We have to invest in them. We've got to work at them. So why do we struggle so much in our friendships today? Why does friendship seem so hard these days? I think there are many factors in our lives that are working against our friendships today. Let me mention just a few. Our mobility works against our friendships. Remember, my grandfather lived his entire life within like a 20 square mile range. And so he had these lifelong friends. They just all lived life there in that little square. But we changed jobs. We moved from city to city. There's so much mobility, and it's so good in so many ways. But this is the cost. This is part of the cost of that mobility. We sacrifice friendships for opportunity. I think our busyness and fast pace of life, our go life, works against our friendships. Many of us, we are crazy busy. We're just trying to get through the day. We're just trying to make ends meet, put food on the table. Friendships then are sacrificed for survival. It makes sense. Sometimes it's a matter of priorities. We have lots of top priorities, and sometimes friendship is not on that list of top priorities. It's just fallen off our radar, fallen off the plate amidst all the other priorities, which are very real. Our hours of screen time on our electronic devices is not helping. This too is a factor that is working against our friendships. Young people, they got lots and lots of Facebook friends, lots of Instagram followers, and yet these aren't real friendships. I mean, they can be, but most of them are not. These are faux friends. And often, our young people, they're not learning how to develop real flesh and blood friendships. They're resorting to screen friends. And that's not just our young people. Our young people, and many of us, we don't know, we aren't learning the art of friendship anymore. Our past hurts sometimes work against our friendships. Sometimes our friends have burned us in the past. And now we're gun shy. We're self-protective. We're not willing to risk sticking ourselves out there again because friendship is always risky. And I think those are just a few of the factors. I think there are many more factors in our lives today that are working against our friendships. We've all got lots and lots of acquaintances, more people in our lives than ever before, but do we have friends? What's the true state of your friendships today? Take a little inventory. Do you have any true friends? And men, because I'm one of you, I can speak more directly to you. Men are notoriously bad at friendships. Men, I know you. Men, do you have any friends? Real men have friends. Real men need friendships. We all do. David and Jonathan, I'm going to tell you, these were manly men, and yet they had a deep friendship. So let's read the description of David and Jonathan's friendship, and let's notice together 4 qualities in this friendship. I believe these are 4 essential qualities in any true friendship. All right, so 1 Samuel 18, verse 1. Take a look with me. As soon as he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was on him and gave it to David and his armor and even his sword and his bow and his belt. What are the qualities here of David and Jonathan's friendship? We're going to see them, but before we do, I want to say this, because this is such intense language, such intimate language here, that there have been some in our deconstructionist, revisionist history period that we are living in that have seen here, they've postulated here a gay relationship. I want to tell you that there is not a shred of evidence of that in the text. If we will look carefully at the text, it is not true. That is a modern myth. Do not buy it. What we have here is a friendship highlighted and described to us, and it's meant to be a model for friendship. It's just so foreign to us that we don't know what to do with it. So let's see it together. 4 qualities of David and Jonathan's friendship. The first is constancy. The word that expresses constancy in the text is covenant. Do you see it? Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. A covenant is a relational commitment. Jonathan and David made a commitment an expressed commitment to their friendship. A commitment that, as we'll see in the text, extended way past that day into the years and even the decades and their families that followed. A covenant says, I am not just a consumer in this relationship, this friendship. This is not just about what I get out of this, what's in it for me. I'm committed. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. I'm committed to you and this friendship through thick and thin and good and bad and the inevitable highs and lows. I'm here. I know guys who get together with their college friends once a year for like a getaway weekend. And those friendships, they don't fall apart, dissipate, run out over time, but because they're making an investment, and even just an annual investment in their constancy, those friendships are burning bright. I'm challenged by that. When we moved to San Luis Obispo 15 years ago, the Central Coast, we had some friends, a couple who said to us, "Can we come with you?"